I am 30 female, a musician, playing gigs and at an orchestra as a violinist. Rehearsals just resumed, so orchestra is my main source of income now. My sister, 26, is a social worker, working 3 days a week, so minimal income, but she adores her job. I live in a small 2-bedroom apartment, both rooms around 9 or 10 square meters, using the second room as a practice room, storage room for my instruments, 3 violins, 2 guitars, a digital piano, a small drum kit, and other stuff. 4 months ago, my sister broke up with her boyfriend and I temporarily offered her my spare room. I moved most of my stuff to the living room to fit a small bed in there. Sis moved in, but she asked me to move more things into the living room. I moved pretty much everything sans the piano to the point where the living room became uninhabitable. Then she started complaining about my violin playing, saying it gave her headaches. I told her I couldn't stop the daily practice without risking my only steady income. The arguments got worse. She told me to only play when she wasn't home, but I couldn't afford to do that with her work schedule. I tried switching to the electric violin, but even that can be pretty loud, so it didn't help. Several times I reminded her this was only a temporary arrangement, but she didn't seem to hear me. 2 weeks ago, I arrived home to find my piano in the bathroom, near water and humidity, because my sis needed space for her new double bed. When I told her she can't seriously expect me to store my piano there, she said, "Yeah, you'll just have to sell it, I guess." I got so mad, I told her she has 7 days to leave, but she didn't take me seriously. For an entire week, I only talked to her to remind her how much time she has left, but she always laughed it off and told me to stop acting like a crazy person. When the deadline came, I boxed up all her stuff while she was at work, booked an Airbnb bedsit close by, and drove her stuff there. She was livid but couldn't do anything but take her new keys and stay there. The following week, she kept calling me with an increasingly apologetic tone, saying she shouldn't have moved my piano or bought a bed. She promised she would put more effort into finding a new place, and by the end of the week, I considered most of our issues at least addressed, so I drove to help her move back. But when I was carrying the first box down, she went, "I do hope you'll at least stop with the violin this time. I absolutely refuse to take more of that stupid violin." I dropped the box, wished her good luck, and left. Now, 2 days later, on the one hand, it feels like a huge overreaction to leave my own sister literally homeless because of an argument about the violin. I know she can't afford to stay there, but on the other hand, I have no plans to allow her back here because I feel she would just continue crossing boundaries and never leave. So, am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Noise-cancelling headphones, problem solved. If she cannot do the absolute bare minimum, she clearly doesn't mind being homeless. It's absolutely absurd that she would touch a musician's instruments in their house and not know that there would not be a repercussion. You even gave her a second chance. Focus on your work and she can deal with her problems. How do you even move in with a professional musician and not know they're going to practice their instrument regularly? And even if you underestimated the frequency and/or the annoyingness of it, I can guess that listening to someone work out a difficult passage over and over would not be great. How do you have the gall to tell them to stop doing the thing that pays your bills? I would play your violin for her, OP, the tiniest one you have, and not the violin. She is living in your home. When I had to move back in with my parents, I never complained when my stepfather would have Zoom meetings for work in the next room. I'd ask them to keep it down if I had a bad migraine, but only when he wasn't working. I'd never ask him to sacrifice his job performance, which is what she's asking you to do. Not the idiot. Guests don't get to make the rules for what you can do in your own household. Entitled freeloading guests who think they make the rules are the absolute worst. Don't bite the hand that houses you. If I were on the verge of being homeless, I'd gladly keep my mouth shut, even if I lived with the whole dang orchestra. I'd be there like a maestro with a butter knife bopping along to the beats, LOL. It's mind-boggling that she was already kicked out once, begged her way back in, and literally started engaging in the same behaviour on the way out of her temporary accommodation. Frankly, she sounds like she has a personality disorder. I, 36 female, hosted a small gathering yesterday for the families on our street. I love baking and I've been trying to perfect perfect baklava as of late, so I whipped up some for the party to gather feedback. Many of these families have kids, so I made some homemade chocolate chip cookies too, since I know how picky kids can be. My little son's a bit of a nightmare, haha, and I thought it would probably be a safer, more familiar option for them. One neighbour called me the night before to inform me that his wife has a nut allergy. I told him that was no problem, I'd be making chocolate chip cookies too, and she was welcome to eat those instead. He went on about how much his wife really wanted to try the baklava and asked if I could prepare some kind of nut-free variation for her. I explained that the nuts are a pretty important baklava component, and making it without them would be just like eating the dough. I also explained that baklava is very time and labor consuming to make, and I don't think there would be enough people to justify making an entire separate batch. I reminded him again that I would be making chocolate chip cookies, completely nut-free, and that those took a lot less time to make, so I could easily make multiple batches throughout the gathering if I needed to. He and his wife show up to the party, and when I bring out the baklava tray, he eyes me before pulling me aside to ask why I hadn't made nut-free baklava for his wife. I reminded him that I never said I would do that, but that she was welcome to help herself to the cookies. He then accused me of not caring about his wife's dietary restrictions or not caring if she dies. I told him that I did care, and that was why I was willing to let her have some cookies, even though I had mostly made them for the kids. He went on about, well, she doesn't want cookies, she was looking forward to the baklava. Yeah, turns out he told her that I'd be making a separate nut-free batch. I pulled the wife aside and explained to her that I never said I'd be doing that. Her husband made that up. She helped herself to a cookie but seemed a bit disappointed. Should I have just sucked it up and made a nut-free one? Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. And now I have to look up nut-free baklava because I can't wrap my mind around how that's even possible. It's just a bunch of phyllo dough and syrup. That's like asking for meat and cheeseless lasagna. Here's your stack of wet noodles. It's easy enough to make. I don't know why OP was complaining. Step 1. Make the baklava. Step 2. Uninvite the neighborhood nuts from the party. Voila, nut-free baklava. Not the idiot. Nuts are a crucial component of baklava. If it was her birthday and she specifically asked you to do this as a birthday gift, that would be one thing. The husband here was an enormous idiot for expecting you to do this and telling his wife you were going to when you specifically said you weren't. Of course you're not the idiot. This is daft. Baklava is made with nuts, and it's quite hard work. I can't fathom what the nut-free alternative would be, and it's worth noting that the neighbor had no suggestions. He just expected you to sort it out. The neighbor is a jerk and just went looking for a problem. It's not as though there were no options for his wife. She never actually asked you herself either and had little to say about it when the mythical nut-free baklava didn't materialize. That suggests that he made a fuss and embarrassed her, and she's probably used to it. Not the idiot, but this is absurd. I guess your neighbor has a mental illness because his behavior is absolutely insane. Also, who the heck has a small gathering and thinks, sure, it's normal just to whip up several batches of chocolate chip cookies as needed? A small gathering needs baklava and a constant stream of cookies too? You have a weird neighborhood. If I eat something that I don't like, my nostrils flare. It's involuntary and I can't stop it from happening. But at the same time, it's not super obvious if you're not looking for it. As a result, my parents know about it and my girlfriend knows. Anyway, earlier today, I met my girlfriend's family for the first time, so I was pretty nervous and wanted to make a good impression. It turns out her mom had made a dish I detest. I'd never order it out of choice and it has some ingredients I hate, but given that I'm an adult and want to come across well, I decided not to say anything and just eat what was served. I take a spoon and it was awful, but I carry on. When my girlfriend's mum asks me how I like it, I say it's very good. At this point, girlfriend says, "Haha, he's so cute when he lies, mum. He hates it. Look at how his nose goes when he has a spoon." At this point, I just had another spoon, and her mum noticed, and it was very awkward from then on in. I tried to apologise, but she kept beating herself up on how silly she was to make something and not ask. Her dad told me I was being rude by making my dislike apparent, and it was poor manners. After that, the whole meal was a bit awkward, and after we left I was upset and asked my girlfriend why she couldn't have just backed me up a bit or even not exposed my fib. Like, yeah, I didn't want to eat it, but I'd have forced myself though, and then it would have been over. She said I was being dramatic and that it was actually quite funny, but I see it as sort of throwing fuel on what was already a pretty stressful event for me. Am I the idiot here? Not the idiot. That was very rude of your girlfriend. In addition, if your girlfriend knew ahead of time that there are certain foods that you dislike, she should have let your parents know beforehand. Interestingly, her dad called you rude when you didn't say anything about disliking the food or that it was terrible. Not the idiot. I'd be mortified. Her dad told you that you were rude the first time you meet. That's basically the fail scenario of meeting parents. And your girlfriend is tactless. Tactless? Sounds to me like she gets off on causing conflict. She knew darn well OP was nervous about this dinner. What significant other isn't when it comes to meeting family? I mean, come on. She knew what food he dislikes but didn't say anything to the parents. Once he was stuck with dinner, she instead put him on the spot, brutally bashed her mother's feelings and efforts, and essentially sicked her father on you, knowing he'd stand up for his wife. Not the idiot, OP. I have a hard time believing she didn't know what she was doing. I would consider this as a red flag. Anyone willing to sabotage dinner and then gaslight you about it isn't someone I would put my trust in. You tried to be polite, and she took ruthless joy in your discomfort and forcing you into an unwinnable situation. Not the idiot. Your girlfriend told on you, and her dad dared to chastise you? What a horribly rude host. I would have been mortified too if that had been my family. OP, send some flowers to the mom and apologize for upsetting her even though you didn't do anything wrong. Your girlfriend sounds like a nasty piece of work and sounds like she enjoyed upsetting her mum. My ex from high school got pregnant and had my son. Biologically, he's not mine, but I always considered him my own. I was already at another college, 18 years old at the time, hours away, so she didn't tell me about him until he was almost 7 months old. We got back together and I raised him as my own. Was I stupid for not thinking about a paternity test? Maybe, but I still consider that one of the greatest blessings in disguise, despite all the hurt. So fast forward 8 years later, I find out my ex has been cheating on me and broke up with her. She tells me my son's not mine and it's been this other guy. We had a paternity test that proved it was true and it crushed me. I refused to get back together with her or let her move back into my apartment, so she kept my son away from me. I didn't have that kind of money to fight it in court, and she started bringing the other guy around to see my son. They got him on the birth certificate and it was just a whole mess. They got married a year later and moved away. My family convinced me to let it go and accept that my son has his new family, to stop putting myself through this heartache. Eventually I did. I always hoped I'd see him again, and thankfully I did. He actually looked for me. My son is barely 19 and we've reconnected again. My son at first admitted he's been mad at me because he thinks my ex and I broke up. Then I decided to stay out of his life. He knows who his biological father is, they're still married, but he was told that we decided to go our separate ways. As in, I made that choice. I told him the entire truth and that's caused him to move out of their place. For the last couple of months he's been staying here because his other family is just pushing him to talk to his parents, and he wants space away from all that. Where I might be the idiot, they found out he's staying with me and have come to my place. The last time they came, I shut the door on them and told them to get out because he doesn't want to see them. I'll admit I'm angry for what they did to me too, but also for the lies they told him. Her family, plus them, believe I'm being an idiot for kicking them out of my home when they're only trying to see their son, and also for not helping to mend things as it's in his best interest. I've been mostly reacting out of emotion and my son's wishes, especially when I kicked them out, so that's why I'm not sure if I was an idiot here or not. Not the idiot. She took your son away from you. Yes, it's your son. You raised him and you loved him. You were a true parent and I'm glad you reconnected. They don't get to come to your house and ask for anything. Your son isn't comfortable being around them, so be it. If you've told them they're unwelcome at your house, call the cops the next time they show up. They're knowingly trespassing. Not the idiot. Your son is an adult, and you're respecting his wishes and protecting him. He has a right to choose not to see his family, and you would have been the idiot if you let them in against his wishes. On a side note, I think it's admirable that you have loved him despite the very messy situation and accepted him as your son and continue to after all these years. I'm sure that means the world to him. Good grief, stop acting like children and thinking only about petty revenge. Everyone's the idiot here, OP. Talk to your son. Tell him his parents have been trying to get in touch with him and ask him if he's ready to talk to them again. Give him a choice instead of unilaterally making it for him. What you're doing now is just getting revenge on them for keeping your child away from you. My 32 girlfriend, 26, and I have a young daughter together, Daisy. I have a daughter, Zara, from a previous relationship who's 2 years older. My girlfriend and I have full custody of Zara for the last 4 years. Both of us work, but my girlfriend's work schedule works around the girls' school hours, so she spends a lot of time with both girls, takes them to the park after school, puts them both to bed, etc. I'm saying this because she should be aware that Zara has started expressing insecurities in our family. Usually, my girlfriend doesn't treat the girls much differently. If Daisy gets something, so does Zara. Girlfriend takes both girls shopping because Zara needs new clothes. All three come home, and Daisy comes upstairs to show me the matching necklaces she and my girlfriend have. I asked Zara if she had one, but she told me no. I asked why, and she started crying. I spoke to my girlfriend about it later on, who said that Zara didn't want one, so she got her a pair of earrings instead. I don't care if, at the moment, Zara said she didn't want one. She's a child who doesn't really know what she wanted. Obviously now she does. Girlfriend said she doesn't want to get one for Zara because she got a pair of earrings, and it would be unfair on Daisy. Now Zara gets to see that Daisy and her mum have matching necklaces, and she doesn't? That'll only make her feel like even less a part of the family. We're not seeing eye to eye at the moment, and my girlfriend insists I'm being an idiot for being upset because she got Zara a pair of earrings. In my opinion, she should have gotten both because she knew after Zara saw Daisy showing the necklace off, she'll get jealous, as children do. It'll just make Zara realize that my girlfriend isn't her mother and push her away more. Girlfriend thinks I'm calling her a bad mother, and I guess I am because she should know better than to leave Zara out of what could be seen as a mother-daughter thing. Am I the idiot? Eek, yeah, you are the idiot. Girlfriend did not forget about your daughter. At her age, Zara is capable of understanding the consequences of choices. She was given the option and declined and instead got earrings. Zara also understands manipulation, which I suspect Zara is using on you. Zara made her choice, and girlfriend is right. If a necklace is then bought for Zara, then it's not fair to Daisy. You aren't being fair to girlfriend or Daisy. I'm wondering about the timeline here. He says his girlfriend is 26, so that means she gave birth when she was 18, but I'm guessing that they dated for a while too before she got pregnant. Am I crazy, or is this not very disturbing? This is the much bigger deal here. OP was a full-grown adult with a child when he impregnated another girl and since tossed responsibility for both his children solely onto her. OP is obviously the idiot. So, your life choices so far have been knock up someone, apparently someone not stable enough to care for a child, at 22, learn nothing from this, and 2 years later, find a barely legal age girl and knock her up as well. Generally leave the childcare of both your kids to the new girlfriend. Make up for your lack of parental effort by criticizing, Monday morning quarterbacking, and backseat driving the parental work your girlfriend does. Your kid is manipulating you into buying double presents for her, and because you're too absent from their life to know what's going on, you're falling for it. OP, you are the idiot. Exactly. I thought that this guy doesn't know how to keep it in his pants. No one plans a second baby with a barely 18-year-old, and if he did, he's even more of an idiot. His life choices show that he shouldn't be parenting 2 children.